Welcome to another episode of the Clinic Success Secrets podcast, where we explore strategies and insights for building thriving medical clinics, spas, and other forms of healthcare and wellness businesses. Today, it's my honor to introduce Brandon Jones. Brandon is the founder of both Premier IV and Wellness, as well as On Demand Wellness, and he's also a leading expert in IV therapy, growing healthcare businesses, and he's also based in Texas. Coming from a diverse background, including sports and exercise sciences, to owning his own CrossFit gym, Brandon has established himself as a very solid serial healthcare and wellness entrepreneur. And I'm really looking forward to diving into his experience and lessons that he's learned along the way today. So with that being said, Brandon, it's great to have you here.
Yep, excited to be here.
So I suppose for anyone listening, do you want to dive a bit more into why you want to sort of kickstart this entrepreneurial journey? Were you always adamant that you wanted to do your own thing, or how did that journey look for you?
Yeah, no, so, once I got out of college, so timeline for you, I graduated college in September of '07. Just like back then, a lot of people, I went the corporate route. I got the corporate job, um, great money, great benefits. Early on into it, I knew that this just wasn't for me. Like, I'm not your typical, which wasn't a 9 to 5. It was more like a 4:30 to 6:30. It was 12 to 14 hour shifts. Um, But I knew early on it wasn't for me. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I loved health and fitness for myself. I was always very active in sports, basketball league, like football, those type things. I did a lot of sports in high school, all that. So I love being active. So it just kind of gravitated me over to fitness. And so that's kind of where I looked first. Hey, this is what I enjoy doing. So I want to go in the fitness route. So that's what kind of pushed me towards wanting to do something in that. And that ultimately got me to start my gym, which my first couple of years was just a hobby. I had no clue at all on the business side. So from there, kind of that pain of, hey, am I going to keep doing this? Am I going to be financially able to make money on this? Pushed me to getting into learning more about business, ultimately finding a business coach. And then that's kind of how my entrepreneurial journey started. It took me I started out at my corporate job in at very end of '07. I didn't start my gym until 2013. So it really took me 6 years of being in a corporate job before I was like, man, I got to do something else and take that leap. And then, of course, there was a lot of learning in the beginning. There's always learning, but there was a lot in the beginning as well. So,
It's a great story. And when making that leap, was that a binary thing to you? Was that sort of because a lot of people here, they might be medical practitioners working for some sort of practice clinic or even hospital setting, or a similar situation to you, where someone may be in sort of a tangential industry and be thinking of basically following the same roadmap as you. Do you just quit the job, jump straight into doing your own thing, or was there a while where you were doing these two things in parallel? You had the full-time job and you had the side hustle that you're building up.
yeah, so I did like most people do, and I wanted to play it safe. So I didn't leave the corporate job, right? I did this on the side. Um, which from a safety standpoint, yeah, it's good because I still have a consistent income coming in. But from an entrepreneur side point, I think it really slowed my initial process to get out there and grow a business. So I did not leave my corporate job until 20 late 2017. So it took me from 2013 to 2017. So that's 4 years in there. First 2 years is really more of a hobby. The next 2 years I really spent diving in, working with a business coach, learning more about business and how to make money and how to market. And then I was able to build my business up to leave a job that I was making 100K a year with great benefits for the family. I also had two young kids to leave that job full time. So it was a process for me. Um, I think obviously knowing what I know now, that could be a lot faster process, but I think that's where a lot of people come struggle is that they want to do this business, but they don't have the tools to go all in. And so they have to keep what they're doing as a side gig, or, you know, find somebody that can help you along your path to speed that up. So,
So it's an interesting one. Obviously, we have two schools of thought here. You know, the play it safe, you don't need to, you can dip your toe in, or the whole David Goggins style, burn the boats, make it work. And
they,
what I always said, each to their own. I mean, depending on your risk tolerance and all that. And I think it sounds to you, do you regret that slow transition, or do you feel like it was the right thing for what you needed at the time because you had responsibilities?
oh, great question. At the time, like that's where I was at. That's what I needed to do. Um, I mean, I know that if I would have jumped in full fledged, would I eventually figure it out? Yes, because I'm determined I'll figure things out. But would it have been some rough times? It would have been really rough. I would say for most people when they're first starting out, especially if they're going in it without a mentor or a coach, um, kind of learning as you go on with a side gig, we'll call it, that you want to be your full time. For a lot of people, that might be the way to go initially because they're not ready to go all in. And at that point, I was not ready to go all in because I didn't know what I know now. And so I think
Mm.
if I would have, now would I have failed a lot faster? 100%. So again, you can look at it two ways. If you want to fail faster and get to where you're going faster, go all in with a coach, right? Or a mentor or somebody that's going to help you. If your situation dictates that, you may have been like me and had two young kids. It may not have been the right time for me to do that. So,
That's a great answer. I think you obviously have the element of the Dunning-Kruger effect going on here, where you don't know what you don't know. And I think when they, and you're laughing to that because anyone that has followed the path that you've walked is fully aware of. I think we alluded to this on one of our previous calls. You mentioned being a technician and then people working on the business instead of in it. And I think what people gravely underestimate when starting a business or any sort of venture is the stack of micro skills that are required to run it, that they just don't see. There could be that 19 or 20 different jobs or different skill sets that need to be developed. And it's only when the final one actually gets developed, then you make any sort of progress at all. Building off of that, when you were starting off your own path, even let's fast forward past the gym, when you got into wellness, what caught you by surprise about what was difficult about taking that initial plunge? Was it simple inventory? Was it hiring? Was it delegating? What were your initial, what were the biggest lessons that you learned at the start that surprised you?
yeah. So I'm going to refer. So it was the same thing. And I learned this in the gym industry, helped and it traveled over into the wellness med spa industry was, um, you always have to be marketing. Like there always has to be some form of marketing because a lot of people, and this is what I thought when I first opened my gym, the whole, oh, if you build it, they will come. Right. So I'm like, oh, I go open my doors. People are going to come. I had 5 friends that showed up. None of them signed up to be members, but they just showed up to support me. I had to go learn and hustle and dig to get people in the door. And it's the same thing in the wellness industry. That was one of the biggest things I learned starting out. So my wife started it. I took it over for her because she's crazy busy in real estate. So I took it over. And one of the first things I did was like, we have to get new people in the door. People don't know about us. Nobody knows what we do. We can't help people if they don't know what we do. So marketing was like my number one thing. As I got into marketing, I would say right behind marketing is learning about a sales process because it's great if you get people's contact info and people to come into your database. But if you don't know how to communicate with these people, meaning when they first come to you, like how you're going to talk to them, how you're going to follow up with them, and can teach them about your service, educate them. That was probably the I don't want to call it the hardest, but it was one of the biggest things that I learned. Like you have to do that, and you have to do it well if you want to continue to have a business and grow. Because without clients, there's no business. There's no revenue. There's no business.
It's a great one. So when you were starting off with the wellness space, I suppose Number one, I think it'd be great for people to understand the scope of service, what that wellness business looks like, and maybe if it's evolved since then. Because after that, I'd love to dive into what marketing strategies actually worked for you specifically.
Yep. So when we started out, we did IV therapy, we did vitamin injections, and then soon into it, we went into the aesthetics world. So um, the neurotoxin, Botox, and we did some fillers. Those were our main services that we started out with. And that's we evolved that into more of just wellness into more med spa as well. So we're starting to do more like cryo with weight loss, and getting into some aesthetic esthetician services, facials, different things like that. So as far as kind of marketing, like what we've done along the way that's really helped. So you got to educate people because as we know, and there's tons of different numbers out there, but they say 5 to 7, or no, I think it's 5 to 12 times you have to poke people essentially before they come in your door. Like 10%, I've always been told around 10% are ready to buy right now. So that means if I market to 100 people, that's 10 of them might say yes right now if I'm doing a good job of marketing. So that's a lot of people that I need to remarket to over and over and over before they potentially come buy my service. And so we always look for intro offers to get people in the door. Okay. So if it's an IV, we did a half bag special to get them in the door. We wanted to teach them why IVs are good for them, how the vitamins can help them, how hydration in general can help them. And it's the same thing with any type of aesthetic services, beauty services. If they want to get rid of wrinkles or they want to have a facial and improve their skin, no matter what the service is, we always try to get them in on intro offers. Now that's through paid and or just organic posting on social media. I think a big one that most people, I would say majority of my clients that I talk to, it's a place that they miss out on. It's just in general having a good system and process set up for organic marketing, things such as referrals, upsells, and you do that through a system, right? You set up a system that like it's within your sales process. So when somebody comes in, you're making sure to educate them on your product. You're making sure they know all your services. You're trying to get them rescheduled. You're following up with those clients. A lot of that stuff can be automated with a CRM, right? And so I think that's where a lot of people miss the mark. Like they're great at their service. They're really good at what they do, but they don't do a great job of getting people in the door. And then if they do get them in the door, they don't do a good job of getting them back in the door. And those were the things that we really focused on, right? How do we get new clients in the door? How do we educate them on our service? And then how do we get them back in the door and tell all their friends about us because they love our service? That's what's really helped us. The more that we refine that process, the more successful that we continue to be within our locations.
I'd love that. I'd love to dive a bit deeply into that because I think everything you've said is completely aligned with the most successful medical spa or medical clinic owners that I know. That's something that they never miss out on. You know, a for example, a great tip. One of my previous guests said it seems super obvious. She'd have a TV in the waiting room for the patients and also where the actual treatment is getting done. Yeah, as I said, the most successful guests that I've had, successful spa owners, clinic owners, what have you, they all have really, really dialed in and systemized that. Um, as the saying goes, the easiest people to sell to are your own customers. And there's a lot of really great tips and tricks that I'd love to dive into with you. But there's some great channels such as, and it might seem stupidly simple, having a TV in the waiting room while people are waiting for the treatment, or even while they're actually getting the treatment done, is an incredibly valuable way to passively advertise your other services. When we actually think about it, we actively have a time frame where people are sitting down with nothing to do but watch whatever's in front of them right before meeting the people that will actually be, implementing them. And then they'll be sitting down getting the treatment done. And there's another window, you know, simple, quote unquote, offline strategies like that, when combined with CRM solutions, incredibly, incredibly powerful. Because as you said, the magic is in the upsell and the cross sell. I'd love to learn a bit more about what has worked for you on that front, with email
Yes.
marketing campaigns and so on. Yeah.
Yep. So it's funny you say that because that's one of the things that we do. We have a TV in both of our waiting rooms. And then in our treatment rooms, I'll call them, we put up posters of things that we want them to read, that we want them to know about. And then, of course, part of that process too, your biggest asset is going to be your staff, right? Whether you have we have a front desk admin, we also have an office manager. We have I'll call them our technicians because it might be a nurse or it might be an esthetician, depending on the service could be non-medical, depending on what the service is. So they're important too. If you just tell them to upsell, some of them will, some of them won't. They have to be taught. So that's another thing that we use. But if I'm gonna kind of start from the front of the sales process. Everything from when we first communicate with one of our potential clients, right? And there's lots of ways we do that. Social media organic, social media ads, email marketing. It could be referrals. We really push Google review. We really push our clients tagging us on social media. We'll actually set up things for them to incentivize them that don't really cost us much, but they have a big effect. So one of the ones we like to do is we offer free injections. I will give them out like candy, is what we always say, because our cost is pretty minimal on those, and it gets them to send us reviews. It gets them. Google reviews are great, right? Getting our SEO
Mhm.
up, Google, more people see us. So that's one of the little things that we're constantly doing every day. When a client comes in, we always make sure they understand what service they're getting. And, our staff can make recommendations on the other ones and can answer their questions. That's huge. People just want to know, be educated on if they don't know something, your staff has to be able to tell them or get somebody else that could tell them about that service. And that goes along with upselling. Hey, you're getting this injection. A lot of our clients like this one as well because of X reason. It's great for this, or our nurses or nurse practitioner giving them reasons what helps with whether it's weight loss and headache or whatever the case may be. And so it's right when they come in the door, right? Now, they come in, there's a TV up, we have information, like any new services, like we have our desk, we always put new stuff there so they know when they come in, there's something right in front of them, whether they're sitting there talking to our admin or later on when they're checking out in their service. And that's another option. So not just in the room are we upselling our nurses, educating, telling them about services, it's on the walls, okay? And then on the way out, right? Our office manager typically is going through there. She's meeting people, greeting. Hey, did you know that we have this now, this service? Our admin desk are our last ones right there, right? From the location. They're always going to have something that they're pushing or educating. It's not always sell, sell, sell. A
Yeah.
lot of times, educate. Okay. Now, once they leave, we're not done yet. We're
Mm.
typically going to always check on them within 1 to 3 days. We're going to shoot you a text. Hey, this is Premier IV. We just want to check in and see how your service was. Okay. And it's great for us because it's great feedback, right? What are we doing well? What do we need to improve upon? Okay. From there is where we're going to ask for the Google review. Okay. We're going to offer them typically a free injection or a discount on an IV. That is so powerful because I'm getting them back in the door.
Mm.
That's my goal. If I can get them back in the door multiple times, I know that they're going to keep coming.
Yeah.
So those are some of the really easy ways internal that we do it. We do a lot of text reactivation campaigns, we call them, but we'll send out text messages on offers. We do it through emails as well. All these things are not the sexy things about business, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really the non-sexy, boring thing that you need to have good systems to do over and over and over. That's where you have the most success. Because if you think about it like this, if I get so many people coming in off of, I got to have multiple pipelines. So if I have so many coming in on social media marketing, I have my referral pipeline, I have upsells here, I have people who read stuff in my location, I have people who they gave us the Google reviews, they're coming back in. That's our goal, to hit people multiple areas. So we have clients coming in are coming back in from multiple areas. That's how we try to go about it. And of course, social media, we're always doing stuff on social media and really encouraging them to tag us so we can get another network, because we know how Zuck works. And if you post something, barely
Yeah.
anybody's going to see. So,
Yeah. No, I love that. Um, Diving into that then, the offline side of things, you mentioned posters. Do you prefer to, as you said, there's sort of the whole jab, right hook sort of approach. In sort of offline posters, do you prefer to have, brief informational pieces about each of the services? Just, ask your practitioner, ask your nurse or whoever's doing the implementing, you're running the procedure. Do you prefer to just have one for every different service and let the patients um proactively ask, or how do you like to do that?
yeah. So on our posters on the walls, we like to put different services that we want to promote, right? So it may
Mm,
be different vitamins, it may be a different IV, a weight loss, whether it's GLP-1s or whatever the case may be. And then our nurses, it's their job to educate and bring different things up. So
mhm.
they bring it up. Hey, did you know glutathione's a great antioxidant and it's great for this, this, and this? Have you ever heard of that? No? Well, let me tell you about it, right? Because
Mm,
they're going to in your service, in your location, typically, unless they're getting an injection, they're in and out most of the time, right? But everything else, they're going to be there for 30 plus minutes, minimal usually. So you're going to talk, like our staff tries to really relate to people. So um, I would say we push that the stuff on the walls is for them to read. And we do get a whole lot of, hey, I read this. What is that? Because what we're going to do is we're going to put what it is, and then we're going to put what it's good for. So they're like,
yeah.
oh, that's good for sleep, or that's good for, um, headaches or hydration or whatever the case may be. So we
Mm.
encourage a lot of questions from our clients.
No, I love this. And again, as you said, it's the exceptional results come from doing the boring things for an uncommon amount of time. And I think it's just simple doesn't mean that it doesn't work. And I just think it's so important to keep driving this in. I love what you're doing, where ultimately you're getting a win-win. So for example, you're killing multiple birds with one stone, with the case of getting the Google reviews. And this is something that I always recommend. If you can simultaneously increase the lifetime value of a client or patient and also boost your reputation, that's a win for everyone. And the patient gets discount. It's a win-win. So I love what you're doing with the free injections, discounting your next visit, getting those extra touch points. And as you said, it's an opportunity for the patients to build trust with your brand, feel like they get to know the people working. And as you said, get the opportunity to be upsold on those different treatments. Because as you said, if you want to lose weight and you're unfamiliar with, say, GLP-1, you're you're doing yourself a disservice by, as I said, being a victim of the Dunning-Kruger effect and not knowing what you don't know. So I love that. I just want to say that.
Nope, I agree. I think most, especially solopreneurs, right? This happens a lot in the wellness space. Solopreneurs get into this and they start by themselves. I mean, they probably have support staff depending on what area they're in. They might have a medical director or a nurse practitioner or somebody that's their direct oversight and help. But typically on the business side of things, they're mostly by themselves when they start. And as we talked about before, that's a lot of jobs that you're doing by yourself. And we've all been there, right? We're the marketer, we're the bookkeeper, we're taking care of all the financials, we're running all the operations, we're doing the actual service, whatever we're doing. And we're trying to keep up all these different areas. And I think, with a lot, even if you're a solopreneur, with setting up a lot of these systems and getting this part of it organized will really increase your business because you've made a system now. And even for ourselves, it's really important to follow systems, like to have our own standard operating procedures, SOPs. And it'll benefit everybody so much. Even if you just start really small with a couple things, I work with a ton of clients, not just wellness, but especially the wellness space because I've been in it for a while. And one of the, biggest things I love to do, and I encourage any of your listeners to do this, is go look at your social media page and tell me what you do. If you look at your social media page and you act like you don't know yourself and you can't tell me what you do, that's a problem. That's because nobody else knows what you do either. So when you go to your social media page, even your personal page, I'm more so talking about your personal page. Everybody needs to know what you do. They need to know that, okay, Brandon owns a couple wellness clinics. This is the services he does. He's in consulting. He's in real estate. Like, they need to know the ideas about me. So if it's a med spa owner, well, they need to know, oh, cool. So-and-so is a med spa owner. Like, they do these services. They can help me in these ways. And then if they scroll through your newsfeed, because let's be real, when we meet somebody online, I call it Facebook stalk. We're gonna Facebook stalk. We're gonna look through and get to know them. Like, it's not as much calling each other like it used to be, right? It's going through social media, learning about people. Well, that's huge, right? If they go on your page and they don't know anything about you and they can't tell that you own a med spa, that you're in the wellness industry, that hurts you. Your opportunity for them to get to know you before they get on the phone with you or come and see you is huge, because if they already know, like, and trust you, the chance of them wanting to use you for your service goes way up. And so I think that's a huge tool for people to look at your page, your social media page, and then always be sharing stuff from your personal page to your business page and back and forth, mainly from your business page to your personal page. So people know what you do and they can go down that rabbit hole of like, okay, who is Brandon Jones? What does he do? How can he help me? Because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to help people, no matter what your service is. We're them somewhere. So
I'm a massive advocate of that. And again, shameless plug for myself. Clinic Success Secrets community. If you're a clinic owner, make sure to hop in. But for that exact reason, it's at the end of the day, this is a person to person relationship we're trying to build here. And whether we like it or not, personal brand is a very real thing. And in an age where ultimately a lot of these services, whether we like it or not, they can become commoditized. What sets you apart is that human interaction. And actually, excuse the language, I won't swear, but you can get what I'm getting at. Caring, we'll say diplomatically, giving a whatever you want about the patients is ultimately what people will come back for. Now, you can't tell from the head on me in Ireland, as we say now, but a barber, the crisp, there's a reason people keep going back to the same barber. When it's ultimately a commoditized service, but especially something as intimate as your wellness, give yourself the opportunity to do yourself, don't do yourself a disservice. Make sure that people feel like they know you. So on that topic, Brandon, you mentioned a lot about email marketing and database reactivation. They work hand in hand. And I do think email marketing, it's a massively slept on channel. Ultimately, realistically, you can reduce with a good campaign of a list that you already own, your customer acquisition cost is nearly zero.
right.
What strategies do you or your own clients like to implement to make sure that you're staying that they're staying top of mind for their patients via email marketing or what have you?
So I would say the biggest one we use is text marketing. Um, you know, we'll text clients before we call them, because most people, let's be honest, a lot of people do not answer their phone. It's because there's so many spam texts now. I mean, I get multiple per day. I'm sure you do too. It's a common now. Like, everybody's trying to sell something, and so when you text first, you get more of a response. Like, we get way more response from texting versus calling. We'll even call somebody, then text them, and they'll respond with text. So
Yeah.
better. So that's our main form, is we like to text, because typically the response time is way faster. So I would say when we do a lot of our reactivation campaigns, and what we mean by that is we're just trying to get these clients back in the door. So we're sending them an offer or something to get them back in the door, is we always use text campaign. Emails, you don't know what you don't know. We do use emails. I'm sure I can learn a lot from you on emails. But we do try to send minimum of monthly emails. We try to, two if we can, one being letting everybody know what's going on, right? Keeping them updated on, do we have any new services? We typically spotlight our staff. We want to let them know if there's anything different going on, because we want them to just know about us as a company and a brand. right? A lot of companies, right? They want you to know about them, what they do, what they're improving. And so we try to do that monthly. Obviously, we do specials monthly. We do put that out there as well. And then any big offers or events that we're doing, we always email out with that as well. But I would say we really heavily rely on between email and texting is going to be the texting, because
Yeah.
that our response time rate from the client side is so much higher. And then we use automations with that. We do dabble a little bit with some AI as well.
Mhm.
Um, you got to know what you're doing if you're going to do that, but it can work really, really well, because at the end of the day, whether you have you by your, especially if you're by yourself, or
Yeah.
if you have a staff, we know we've all heard speed to lead. And so
That's the next thing I
whether
was going to say.
yes, whether you're doing email, whether you're doing phone calls, or you're doing texting, that is probably the most important thing. Um, is how quick you can get to these clients. Because I can tell you, me personally, and I know you're the same way. If I go on Google and I go search for something, if I call them and they don't answer,
Gone.
we want to, I'm going to the next one,
Yeah.
right? And so you lose out on that. And that happens to a lot of businesses, a lot, because they're
Mhm.
so busy in the business, they can't work on the business. And so they lose a lot of opportunity.
No, I think that's a great point, especially with the speech lead side of thing. And with regards to the database reactivations, but obviously the SMS makes sense for your promotions. I agree. If you call me transparently and you send me a text, good chance I'm not going to be bothered calling back if I know I can text and get away with it.
Yep.
We've all been
Exactly.
there. We take the path of least resistance as humans. It's in our nature. Uh, with that, obviously, if you get an email and you get sent some informational assets, blog posts, videos, webinars, etc., you're more likely to check it out. Whereas in my experience, SMS is very often it'll be the right hook, so to speak. The actual trying to get some sort of sale. Um, how do you personally like to segment these people? Is it, oh, this is a previous Botox clinic, this is a previous filler client, or so on. And then on that note, the scary word that people don't like to think of, HIPAA compliance. Is there something that you'd ever have in mind in terms of that? Um, so yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. So on the HIPAA side, a big thing there is just not putting out any personal information, right? We don't ever talk about prior appointments or anything like that. No personal information whatsoever can be sent out. And so we just stay away from that. That's easy. What we mostly go when we do reactivation campaigns, typically it's just dealing with one of our services. So we just recently did one with a new service. And so it's putting together an offer to really get people in the door. So typically it's a special to educate them when they come in. Now, as we all know, a lot of times on intro offers, the goal is to get you in the door so then we can then upsell you to a package or a higher offer, right? And so that's the way we look at it, right? You come in, you're coming on this intro offer. If we feel like this will help you, like this service in a package format, you're going to get a better deal through packages. That's typically how it works. But if
Yeah.
it's bigger buy, then we're going to educate you on that and why it can help you. And if it's a great fit, great. We'll move forward. If not, then not. And so that's mostly how we do it. New offers or services that we want to promote. So we've done multiple times with IV therapy, we have an IV therapy drip that we want to promote. Hey, we're doing an IV special this weekend. Like, or if it's certain days we want to pick up business, like, hey, through these dates, like we know it's a slow time. Through these dates, we're doing these specials. Essentially raise your hand if you'd like to get these. And so making it easy for them. Oh, yes, I'm interested. And then getting them scheduled. That's mostly how we do it. And that works really well. And we don't have to worry about HIPAA because we're not talking about their personal information, their prior appointments, or anything like that. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And again, obviously, this is for anyone listening, not legal advice. I'm not an attorney or anything. But on that note, do your due diligence. But the general consensus is, as I said, private information, but also reasonable efforts to make it clear that you don't want that. Um, again, obviously, make sure that you're using providers that are, HIPAA compliant where possible.
yep.
The consulting side of things, I'd love to dive big into the challenge that you find when consulting people with on demand wellness. Uh, First of all, who do you help and how do you help them?
Yes. So on-demand wellness is kind of two parts. So I'm gonna go over each of them. So
Yeah.
one part is we help wellness to be entrepreneurs or already entrepreneurs get started and or medical director, protocols, setting operating procedures, all the things that they need to get up and be compliant and run their business. So that's one side of it. And so the pure consulting side, which this is one that I get really excited about, this is where we help um, clients with a plethora of things. I love to say I'm a chaos coordinator. So most business owners, when they start their business or they've been in their business for a while, they operate in chaos. They are overworked. They overwork themselves. They don't make time for their family. They don't make time for their personal health. A lot of people wonder why, like, hey, why do I, when I go to doctors or, these people that push health are maybe not in the best shape? Well, they're working insane amount of hours and they're not, you know, it's like work, sleep. That's all they got.
Yeah.
And so what we do through my consulting is the goal is to help you organize that chaos and get more time to work on your business. Now, it does not just have to be the wellness industry. I work in a lot of different industries, but ultimately, where I see the most issues is people are still doing everything themselves. They think that it's a big mindset of like, man, I can do this better than them, which is probably true in a lot of situations. But as we know, that's not how you're going to grow a business. If you're going to do every part of your business, you're going to limit yourself greatly on what you can accomplish. So the first thing I love to do with these clients is help them get their time back. Well, how do you do? You got to identify what's the biggest time suck. That's what I like to call it. So you identify those areas, like what is sucking most of your time out. And typically it's going to be not the items that are going to be the most financially beneficial to your business. So admin tasks, the bookkeeping, that may even be some of the marketing things, social media, like what areas can you delegate either to a business, right? Something like Success Partners, if it's on the marketing, different side there, or if it's a virtual assistant or you have a staff member, what can I delegate to them to open up more of my time? Because if I have more time, well, then what can I focus on? Well, what's going to bring money into my business? I can go focus on more marketing, right? I can focus on training. If revenue is not my main goal right now, I can focus on training. There's so many other areas. So we really find that that's where most of the issues are. They're doing all the work themselves. They don't have any systems set up. That's probably the biggest one. There's no systems and processes set up. You ask them how something works, they're like, oh, so-and-so does it. Oh, well, do you know
What
how
are they
they do
doing?
it? I have
No,
no clue. Yeah.
yeah.
So, well, what happens if, they go on vacation for a month? We're screwed. I don't know what we're going to do.
Don't go on vacation.
Yeah, they can't go on vacation. So, and it doesn't matter if you run $100,000 business or a $50 million business. Like some of the clients, all the problems are the same. It's just some of them are smaller and some of them are bigger. And I think that when you help people realize that you have to train others and rely on others to help grow your business, and you need to be a leader for your business and not be as much in your business. When the light bulb clicks on, they get it. And that's why
Mm.
companies get multi-million dollars, because they train their staff, they delegate things off, they do a good job of controlling chaos. There will be chaos through growth. That's part of growth. But they do a good job of delegating things, moving on to the next, and so that's what I love to do. I love to help businesses get their time back. I'll tell you my favorite, one of my clients, Warren, he's phenomenal. Probably the biggest compliment I've ever received. I really didn't receive it, but to me, it was a compliment. He was like, dude, he was like, I'm working out again. He lost like 25 pounds. He's like,
Yeah.
my daughter, he's got one daughter, little girl. He's like, she's saying, Daddy, it's so great that you're home in the evenings again. I love seeing you. And then him and his wife have been able to spend more time together. And now it's all because he set up his business, used his team, he delegated more, and he's able to grow his business as well. And so, a lot of people just feel like they got to stick in the grind all the time. That's not, you can, but you're not going to be as happy.
Mm. I think that's for anyone listening and you want to organize chaos. get on to Brandon, because I'm sure anyone listening would want more time with any of those key people in their lives. And I've had this conversation with family members, in the past, where everyone will always think that it's different for them. It's easy for someone else to work less, but in my case, it's different. It's not.
It's like,
That whether it's ego thing, but in this weird victim mindset is a harsh term to use, because I've been victim for it many times. I'm saying this in the back end of a 16-hour workday myself, recording this. I'm
well,
not.
yeah, you're right. And I used to be that way, especially in the gym industry. I mean, I would go work for 12, 14 hours at my other job, my
Yeah,
corporate job, and then come to the gym. I'd come run 3 or 4 classes. Then I'd stay up another couple hours doing more work. And then I'd see my family and I'd sleep like 3 or 4 hours. It just
yeah,
I wasn't going to be able to do it long term. I was in my 20s back then, so it was easier. I could go
yeah,
off less.
yeah,
It wasn't like I wasn't happy, right? And so it stealing, there's been multiple times throughout my I'll call it entrepreneurial journey where I take a step back and be like, oh, I got to check myself. I need to do a time suck. What's sucking my time? Like, oh, cool. This is what's stuck in my time right now. So it's a continual thing. It won't just do
yeah,
it once and done. So yeah, I've struggled with that in the past. And the more I've gotten through it, like I love it. Like I enjoy my
yeah,
time. I enjoy running my businesses. I have plenty of time for my 2 kids, teenagers, very involved in activity sports. I don't miss anything. Me and my
yeah,
wife have a lot together. I love doing things like this, working with other business owners. And I wouldn't have that time if I wasn't able to delegate my time and get myself leading my business versus in my business all the time.
I know that. No, I really, really do, because I think it's an affliction is the only way I can describe it. Because when you again you don't know what you don't know, people assume more equals better, but it does get to a point of diminishing returns. Um, Again on the topic, I suppose, are there some simple low hanging fruit that you often see that maybe, say if you're a medical, we'll just stick with a medical spa owner for now, a medical clinic owner, someone in the wellness space, because there's a big overlap in roles. Are there some simple low hanging fruit that perhaps people listening right now could maybe identify with, that may be an indicator that it's time to delegate or standardize some tasks? Are there any that regularly come up?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the easiest thing is if you constantly feel like you never catch up and you can't go to sleep at night because you're thinking about everything and you're never caught up and things aren't going the way you want you to, but you just feel like you have to keep grinding all the time. And you just feel like you're in that hamster wheel, right? You're just kind of going like this circle, but you're not getting anywhere. Then it's time. Like you need to get, whether it's a coach or you need to learn to delegate and think about what you want. Do you want to be in that situation? Because a lot of people get in this situation, like you said earlier, they think this is the only way. It's not the only way. You think somebody could build a multi-million dollar business by doing it all themselves? No, right? It's not going to happen. And so I think that's the biggest thing. Like a lot of the people that I talk to, it's funny. Sometimes the clients that I get with, they can't even talk to me for a month to 6 weeks because they don't have time. It takes them
Yeah.
that long, to squeeze in 30-minute call to get on the phone to go through all this stuff. And as you said, a lot of people, it's a pride and ego thing. So if you
Mm,
think, well, I can do it, no, you can't. You can do what you're
yeah.
doing right now. That
Yeah.
you're right about that. But going farther, you just got to make some changes, and you got to be willing to be. Uh, I like what you said earlier. Like I use this a lot. You don't know what you don't know. Like you
Yeah.
got to be willing to say, I don't know what I don't know, so I need help to get to where I want to be.
Yeah. And also, I mean, on that note, and I'm conscious of your time, there's a quote from, I'm sure if you know, Naval Ravikant. He's a tech investor in Silicon Valley, and he made a point before where the local restaurant owner probably isn't working anymore, any less than Elon Musk. The difference is leverage. In the in
Yes.
the in the resources allocated. Now, obviously, there's a money thing, but ultimately, I'm not trying to say everyone's going to be Elon Musk, but there's a difference in resource allocation. So it's all about, and similarly, someone, a hardworking, taxi driver, you know, they're putting in the same hours as the entrepreneur. So the difference is leverage. And one of the fundamental bits of leverage is, number one, systems, code, media, form of content, and then also getting help from others. So if you haven't got time, you need to find leverage somehow. And for anyone listening, Brandon Jones is probably one of the best people to help you on that one. Um, Listen, I want to be respectful for your time, but I think I've really enjoyed this so far. And honestly, I'd love to do this again. And I'll probably come back with some more questions because you've shared a lot of gems here and I really appreciate it. I'm sure anyone listening does too.
Yeah, no, this has been great. I love the wellness industry, business, entrepreneurship as a whole. So anytime I get to talk and be involved in this is great. And my last piece of advice for anyone listening is just remember, if nothing is happening the way you want, typically it's because of you. And I don't say that to be negative, but it's a hard decision you're not making. It's an ego you can't get past. Like there's something that's usually the reason you're not where you want to be. And it's always us. We have to look at ourselves first. Can't point fingers. If somebody on your team's not doing something you want, it's because of you, right? I haven't trained them right. I don't have proper systems set up. So just remember that you control your destiny and you can do it. So
Not everything's your fault, but everything's your responsibility. So just
exactly that.
appreciate it. Where can people find you? Brandon?
Yes. So my email, Brandon at premieriv.com. So BRANDON at PREMIERIV.com. You can look at my locations, premieriv.com. That's probably the easiest way. I'm on Facebook, Brandon Jones. Find me really easy on there. There's probably a million of them, but find the one in Alito, Texas. That's me.
I'll link to everything in the show notes. Thanks so much. And as I said, look forward to doing this again.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.
Cheers.